Life can change in an instant. For many wheelchair users, the struggle to push forward is a daily challenge.
After years of development and countless prototypes, we created Rib Grips, the revolutionary wheelchair hand rim covers with built-in ribs for ultimate grip and comfort.
No more slick surfaces, no more heat burns, just pure, reliable grip. Rib Grips, empowering you to push forward with ease. Rib Grips, get a grip on your freedom. Discover the difference. Visit ribgrips.com and use promo code GRIP today. You just found the perfect product that helps with staying cool during hot summer runs. No more gross warm water. Stay cool with this product from Gear Handle. This hydration tube cover helps keep your water cool and easily accessible. Stay hydrated during those long summer runs or even delay from freezing in the winter. Plus, they're compatible with various brands of water bladders and come in various colors. Visit gearhandle.com and use promo code H2O today.
Caroline, you should tell them about the newest thing that Bloody Happy Hour is doing.
A Patreon.
It's a Patreon. What is that?
That means you're basically like a VIP member, and there's 2 different levels that you can, subscribe to, and you get some perks. You maybe get like merch a little earlier. You get
exclusive merch.
You could get first dibs on signing up for a live show. You get episodes with no commercials.
You get our video because our video is no longer available on YouTube. It is only on Patreon. And the most important to me is you get videos of our live shows. So if you are far away and you couldn't make our last live show, it will be on the website. We're going to record this future live show. It's going to be on Patreon, but also bonus episodes each month. You guys tell us all the time you want more episodes. This is a way for you to get more episodes. So you're going to get our basic Tuesday, Thursdays that we always put out, right? But if you're on a Patreon, you're VIP, you're going to get more.
I can't wait to talk about in detail some more stories because I always have a lot of details I want to go to. I can law-splain. I might read a book.
They just unsubscribed. This is also going to be the exclusive place that Dirty Chat is going to go to. So if that is breaking some of your hearts, just go ahead and subscribe now. In order to hear the full content, it's going to be Patreon. Where do they go again?
Patreon.com/Bloody Happy Hour.
Don't forget to
stay aware,
stay alive,
and always be DTF.
This is a Rogue Media Network podcast.
Hey y'all, I'm April.
And I'm Caroline.
And this
is your Bloody Happy Hour.
Caroline, are you ready for this?
This is your newest guilty pleasure.
It's the bloodiest part of your week.
Did we say something about it also being happy hour?
Show did.
Because we about to be sipping on some murder. Bloody Happy Hour.
Hey y'all, this is April.
And this is Caroline.
And we are back from our vacation.
We are back from Mexico.
Did you learn a little bit of Spanish when you were down there?
Sí.
Sí,
señorita.
good. Order a drink right now.
Yo quiero tequila y cranberry juice.
Good job.
That's how I do it.
Were you allowed to get the good tequila? Double. You said that every single time. Double.
Philip, Francisco, and he was the bartender, Francisco and Filiberto.
Listen, my favorite bartender was Francisco and Orlando.
I had one swimsuit that had a boob window in the middle. And Filiberto really liked the boob window. That's when he finally asked for my name after 3 days.
Did they call you Carolina?
He's like, what's your name? I was like, Carolina. And he was like, what? And I was like, Caroline. He's like, oh, very nice. Yeah, very nice. How, and he's, ¿Cuántos
años tienes?
Yes, and I was like, how many days? Oh, yes. Yes, I understand. I'm very young.
Very young. She's 40. I'm young.
Nice. So, Viva Mexico.
So
But we're
good.
back, and we're back on schedule, and we got a quickie for you guys. And if you're brand new, you're going to hear something's in the news. And so what's today's date, Caroline?
Today is July 18th.
¿Qué día es hoy?
Oh, no, today
No,
is...
¿cuál es la fecha? ¿Cuál es la fecha?
Today is July 23rd.
No, what's today in real life? Because
In real life, it's the 18th.
it's the 18th, so y'all know what we're going to talk about. We've been gone for a week, so just get ready for what's going to happen in this quickie. But can you end with that?
I will end with the shot heard around the world. I will end with that because I got a lot to say. But let's start with a case that we've followed for a while, which is Caleb Harris.
Oh.
So,
Which is
this is the
Saturday.
21-year-old Texas A&M Corpus Christi student who disappeared from his off-campus apartment March 4th. They've searched and searched and searched his apartment, weeks and weeks, disappearances. I mean, law enforcement agencies, volunteers from students, and just this biggest search effort. But I'm still not hearing anything about, I barely heard anything about it.
Yeah.
On Monday, June 24th, city workers were doing some maintenance at the Perry Place wastewater lift station.
Okay.
And they discovered remains inside a wastewater collection well and contacted police. So the headline to this was Caleb Harris bodies found.
Oh.
And I put in parentheses, mostly, because the remains, which had no obvious signs of homicide, were transported to whatever county's medical examiner's office. But because he was so, his body was so decomposed, they weren't unable to quite make an identification. So they had to go through, or they couldn't provide a cause of death. So the remains were sent to this other place for a DNA analysis, and they got samples from his parents. And then basically they said, quote, approximately 2.4 sextillion times more likely to be observed if the unidentified remains originated from a biological child of Caleb Harris's parents, rather than the unidentified remains originated from an unrelated individual from a Caucasian population. So basically they're like, we're pretty sure this is his body, but we don't really know because he's so decomposed. So now the remains are going to be sent to another medical examiner's office to do a final autopsy report.
Well, will we know cause and manner? And
I don't know. And I'm like, but what they say I don't even know. How do you know if there's no,
what's the place called where he was found? Is it a sanitation place or?
Yeah. It's not
A well?
Perry Place wastewater lift station. And he was discovered inside a wastewater collection. Yeah. So in a well, what is happening?
Intentionally
and there's no talking
put there.
about it. Nobody's talking about it.
It's so sad.
And now a word from our sponsors.
People often ask me, how did I get started in true crime? Well, this is the case that started it all. My true crime origin story. And it happened right here in Keller, Texas.
911, where is the emergency? Oh my God, my husband was shot. Somebody was in the house.
Coming July 16th, 2024. Final Days on Earth, Season 3. The Life and Death of Greg Williams.
And we talked about how he went missing same time Riley Strain, that happened within a day, I think. And
Yes.
all the info went to Riley Strain, or all the media went to Riley Strain, and this kid didn't get much. But here in Texas, we would see that stuff. We talked about it.
Yes.
But was it I don't think it was national news. I think Nancy Grace did pick it up because but she's picked it up once the body was found. I don't think she picked it up in the beginning. So sad. It's the same tragic story. It's just a college kid goes missing. What happened? Who did this?
Like, did he just walk into the well?
So we need to know how far it is because he was walking his dog that night, waiting on his Uber order. So you're hungry. It's 2:30, 3 in the morning, and you want your Whataburger.
Oh, absolutely.
And you're pissed at your dog that it needs to go for a walk, right?
Yeah.
The Whataburger was untouched. So that is not, like, even if you're going to kill yourself.
What happened to the dog? I don't remember.
Oh, where's the dog?
Maybe the dog turned on him. The dog would have eaten the food.
He was walking in his, like, he was at a bridge near, like, his little area where he lived. And he sent some Snapchats to a friend. But his food was untouched. I don't know what happened to the dog. It's the last thing I
know, but I'm, like, wondering, like, is the dog still alive? Like, just because,
I felt like I would have put that in there if I saw it just for you. But I don't remember what it was.
Was he like chased? Maybe the dog got loose. He's running after the dog and he like accidentally slipped and fell in a well?
No, because it's not that type of well. It's a well that like you got to open up the top, like this big concrete. It's not like a easy accessible. Somebody has to know about that place and knows that it's not very highly trafficked.
Yeah.
So he was murdered. I want to know how far away.
I bet somebody raped him, took him, found him. Punched him, knocked him out. Somebody knows.
No, somebody who knows him needed to get rid of him.
If y'all know this, y'all need to tell us. So you can call into the show 1-888-8888-8888. Bloody, do it. Call in.
All right. What else we got?
Arizona dad who left his kid in the hot car.
Yep.
Do you hear about this? And apparently this idiot leaves his kids in the car all the time.
If they're asleep, you don't want to wake them up.
You don't want to wake them up. I mean, I know.
It's a good nap.
The car stays on. And the air conditioner's on. Who cares if we're in Arizona? We're in the desert, but you bugged again. Who cares?
He's as bad as a treadmill dad.
Oh, 37-year-old Christopher Schultz charged with second-degree murder and child abuse after his 2-year-old girl died after being left in the car in Arizona. So on July 9th, Christopher was driving home with his 2-year-old daughter, Parker, who was asleep in the back seat. Later that day, his wife, Erica, comes home from work and she finds Parker
in the back seat.
In the back seat. Dead. She starts to do CPR. She calls 911. She does CPR. She works at the hospital. She's, I think, an anesthesiologist or some... Yes.
Okay.
Anesthesiologist. So she does CPR until the paramedics get there. They go to the hospital and they were not able to save her and she died. Christopher is arrested the following Friday. So I think that was on a Tuesday. Then he gets arrested on the Friday, but then he's released without any bond requirements. And then he's not a flight risk. But then they're like, well, you just can't be alone with your other kids. Okay, great. Then Christopher told police that he left Parker in the car because he didn't want to wake her up. Oh, that's so sweet. No. And he left the car running with the AC on while he went inside the house, and she was only left alone for 30 minutes.
Listen, gas is high. Like, no.
And guess what? It wasn't 30 minutes. It was 3 hours.
3 hours.
The police reviewed the security footage from the home, and that's when they found out that Christopher got home at 12:30, and he had left Parker, the daughter, in the car for 3 hours, and his wife got home around 4.
Wow.
So he said, he later on admitted he knew that the car would automatically turn off after 30 minutes.
Oh.
Sir? Meaning that
he slept too. He must have went in with sleep.
No, bitch was playing video games.
Never trust a grown man that plays a fucking video game.
Not only that, just wait. Okay, so she's left in there for hours. It's like 100 degrees outside. Could you imagine what it was inside? So if you're in there for 3 hours, you get 30 minutes of air, then the car turns off. So she's just, I mean, they're going to
And
go.
it's hot within 7 minutes.
It's hot. Yes. So apparently Christopher was like, he's done this before and he's left the car on and everything was always fine. And he's done it with all of his kids and it's not a big deal. And apparently he Erica, the wife, texted him saying, I told you to stop leaving them in the car. How many times have I told you, Christopher? And he replied, I'm sorry, babe. I'm sorry, babe. For our family, how could I do this? I killed our baby. This can't be real.
It's real.
So this guy
And very preventable.
has literally done this over and over and over and over to all of his kids. And now she's posted on, or she's like gone on and she's like, I just need him to be like released on bond because we already lost somebody from our family and we need to just at least keep what we have left of our family together. Ma'am, your daughter just died.
I can see that just a little bit. She's like, that would be double trauma on my kids. However,
if you're texting him like, I told you not to leave the kids in the car again, ma'am.
All he's going to do is kill another kid.
Either he needs to not have driving privileges. I don't know if you probably should like maybe divorce him or
never date a guy that plays video games because that is it.
So surveillance videos. Yeah, found that she was in the car for 3 hours. Search warrants show detectives are checking on the electronics of the car so they can see how long it was running, when it was parked, when the air conditioning was on. Investigators are checking other electronics like cell phones, laptop, and a PlayStation 5. And they're saying that these items could help document what he was doing and when he was doing it. And then they're also checking into the Parker's iPad and hoping that the GPS from the iPad can establish how long she was left in the car, what she was doing while in the car. Was she on the iPad? Was she asleep? Like, so they're going to go through all those things to like piece it together.
Yes. Okay.
Solving
his kid was that much of a burden on him.
Yeah,
he's like, I don't want to wake her up because she might stay awake, and then I actually have to be a dad.
I have to parent,
and I cannot play this video game.
It's important. He was probably getting to the next level.
I see him
off you fuck
with the headphones on and like the controller, and they lose themselves. No,
he's in that gaming chair.
Oh yeah,
yeah, in the dark room.
Yeah, yeah, and
he's
lose
on like
yourself.
Pornhub. Well, Arizona, he probably could be on Pornhub. Who knows?
What else we got?
We have a couple updates. Did we update our trials?
Karen Reed? I don't think so, because we were gone.
I don't remember, but you remember the whole Alec? Well, I don't even know what was it about Karen Reed. Okay, but whenever like the day vacation started, the Alec Baldwin trial had started. And I'm like, oh, I cannot wait to get back home and to be back in trial because this is going to be a short one. It's going to be like six to 9 days. Like it was supposed to be real quick. And I'm watching like clips of the day one. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, you got Hilaria, who is apparently she thinks she's from Spain or something, but she's really from like California. So whatever. And they have like 14 kids. And I just can't stand Alec Baldwin because he's just such an ass. And then his Stephen Baldwin is there. And so you can see them in the background and all the things. And they're going along, doing the opening statements and like, it's fine. And we're like, okay. Day 2 comes around and then day 3 comes around and that's when shit hits the fan. So in layman's terms, because it took me a while to figure out like what happened, but basically the person who was in charge of like the ammunition and the guns, they had all these bullets, right? That's what was important. Like, it's like, why is ammo so important in this trial? Well, because they were supposed to have blanks or bullets that don't shoot out and don't kill you, right? No live rounds.
Yes.
So there was a ton of these bullets, and they were all turned over to the prosecution, the state.
Okay.
Well, half of them, they were like, the prosecution was like, oh, well, those aren't relevant, but these are. Either way, both the ones that you think are relevant, you think are not relevant, that all has to be turned over to the defense in what they call discovery, which is like before the trial gets started. And there's been so much, it's been such a contentious case this far. Like, it's like, he's going to trial, he's not going to trial. They have charges, they drop the charges, like back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Well, the defense, Alec Baldwin's defense finally finds out about these certain bullets that could have something to do with this case, that they were never turned over to them. The lead prosecutor is like, I didn't even know about these bullets. Okay, well, you're part of that prosecution team. So somebody in your team, the lead detectives, the police, whoever they were given to, just because they didn't give that to you, you're held accountable for it because you're the prosecutor on this case. So now you've done what's called a Brady violation, which means you have information, like you have information that you did not give the defense.
Sure. Uh-huh.
And it was like such a big deal. The judge is like, case dismissed. That doesn't mean a mistrial. That means it's done. With prejudice. Meaning this case cannot be tried again.
Because it wouldn't be fairly tried. With prejudice, right?
Yeah. I mean, like, we've proved that y'all are not fair and y'all are shitty and you can't do it again because you're shitty.
Wow.
So now the girl who was the armorer, Hannah Gutierrez Reed, who was in the first trial, like a few months ago, who got convicted guilty and she has to serve 18 months. She's like, new trial. Give me a new trial. And she's probably gonna get it. She's probably
gonna get it. Yes.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And they also, the prosecutors, her name was Morrissey. They had hired this other, what you call a special prosecutor, which is somebody who's from outside of the county or whatever, and who is just a little bit more eloquent and whatever. And she was on her shit. She literally went up to the judge, said something, walks back to her little prosecutor table, grabbed her cup, grabbed her purse, and walked out. Because she was like, no, I'm not doing this. This is shady. I'm out. And she quit on the spot.
Oh,
I mean, it was a whole dramatic thing. Anybody who's an attorney or lawyer out there, you know more. And it's just a lot of, it's very confusing. But basically, and then it's just like, you have these cases.
There won't be justice. Really.
There will not. No.
Yeah. That's the sad part.
And that's the thing is like with the Karen Reed stuff, it's like those I feel like that whole prosecutor was shady and and
I don't think we told them that, and they probably know that it was a whole mistrial, right? Hung jury mistrial? What did they say?
That was a mistrial. But there was, okay, so
folks are getting fired.
Yes, she was, she had 3 separate charges. But what the jury did was they said not guilty on charge 1, not guilty on charge 3, but they were hung on charge 2.
Which was?
Charge 2 was a involuntary manslaughter. So they were like, we think that she hit him with the car, but not intentionally. But the other 2 were like, she did not intentionally murder him, and then she did not leave the scene knowing she murdered him.
Yeah.
And there was only a couple of votes that thought she was guilty on charge 2. And then all these jurors came out. And then the day after, within a week after the trial was over, the lead investigator, Michael Proctor, who sent all the texts to all these people calling her a cunt, saying that she had a leaky balloon knot, saying that she was a whack job, saying that she was crazy. He got, he didn't get fired because he's in the union, right? And so you can't just fire. He's basically, first he was on paid leave. And then a week later, he was on unpaid leave. So he's slowly getting pushed out.
Yeah.
And then a guy who is related to the Alberts, which are the house that it all happened at,
house.
Kevin Albert, like a month after Proctor was let go, Kevin Albert was then let go from his job as a Canton. He was either Canton PD or Boston PD. It was based on testimony that this lead investigator, Proctor, the cunt text message guy, he had given his testimony talking about how him and Kevin Albert were on patrol. They go out drinking driving in their patrol car. And then Kevin Albert wakes up the next morning, doesn't have his badge, doesn't have his gun. He lost it. And so he's having to find out where it is. And it's in this other, just being completely reckless. First of all, you're drunk driving around in your patrol car. Then you lose your badge, you lose your gun. What are you doing, guy? And then this whole Sandra Birchmore case. I mean, this is all this stuff tied in together. So on Monday, which is by the time you hear this, it'll be yesterday. There's going to be a hearing for updates on when her next trial will be. I find it hard to believe that because they say they're going to try it again. I find it hard to believe that they will try it again because now you've got your lead investigator who's been fired and all this, and you have just all these, you have these jurors coming out saying all these things. There's we were intimidated by the people who are on the audience, while we were doing closing arguments.
I listened to a Murder with My Husband did a very good whole trial recap, and it might have been an hour long, but she was very neutral. Yeah, very neutral and given all the information. Right? So that we can form our own opinion. Yeah. And I can see how the jury is hung because Karen Reed, first, I listened to the first part and I was like, oh, bitch is shady. And then it's oh shit, but the police are shady. The Alberts are shady.
They collected blood in Solo cups.
Well, yes, but
and blew it off with a leaf blower.
Unprofessionalism doesn't equal murder. And then they made me think it was the son of the Alberts or something like that, covering them up. But then I found out they weren't. Anyways, I could see how it could be split down the middle. Like a hung jury. I went in not knowing much of anything. I would not be able to say I believe beyond a reasonable doubt either one.
Yeah, well, yeah, they did not prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. Mm-hmm. The end when the defense the prosecution put on their case. That is the one that took 4 or 5 weeks. They had 67 or 68 witnesses. The defense had 5 witnesses because they're this obviously. They didn't have to do much. But this case is also being investigated by the FBI, which they could not let the jury know that. Mm-hmm. So even for the next trial, now the jury's going to know the FBI has been involved. And so the FBI is who had these accident reconstructionist people go and testify on the stand. And they're we're not being paid by the prosecutors. We're not being paid by the defense. We are literally just looking at what we think. And they're there's no way that he was hit by a car. Yeah. So that I would say, how could you say, oh, she hit him with the car whenever you have this neutral party?
Because could you bring, to me, I'm could you bring in 2, if you had 5 experts, 3 will say one thing and 2 will say the other thing.
That's wild. And I had a little something about this Timothy Haslett, but you know what? I feel we just need to go straight to the situation because we got
history that was made this past week.
Okay, so
we'll be talking about this in history books.
In case y'all didn't know, there was assassination attempt on President Trump, and he survived.
His poor little ear. Did not. He had a little baby pillow.
I saw a meme that said, I should have
bought it from Temu.
The pillow that you bought from Temu was and I was real close to wearing an ear cover, like a padding on my ear. So Thomas Matthew Crooks is the shooter.
Is the shooter.
His parents were looking for him on Saturday, on the day that this shooting happened. In the hours leading up to the shooting, they said they called law enforcement. They were like, he's missing, and that they were worried. Okay. That, first of all, is like, if your kid's gone for a couple hours, you're going to just call the cops. Like, obviously, I feel like there's got to be something in his background to where you're like, okay, I'm freaking out. Where is he?
Like, did he make a suicide threat before?
Right. Yeah. Was there did he leave a letter behind? He was 20 years old. At first, they were saying no mental health issues. Now they're saying there was mental health issues. But I don't know. And so what happened was, Trump is having a rally. I'm sure.
Where were we? Pennsylvania.
Yeah. He's literally been on the stage for like 6 or 9 minutes when all of a sudden shots ring out.
I hear the shots.
And he literally just barely turned his head at that moment to have the bullet graze his ear. It's not a BB gun.
And it's a real, because Trent was like, it sounded like a little airsoft gun because in the beginning, and I was like, it did sound soft, but it was a real high-powered gun.
Well, I had somebody comment on my story because, I post that shit on my story.
Yeah.
And then they're like, ma'am, that's a BB gun. I'm like, I don't know shit about guns. I don't know. I know that a BB gun
very soft
is a BB. But I was like, can a BB gun kill somebody? Because it did.
Yeah.
And a BB gun.
Yeah, no, it was a real gun. It was allegedly a real high-powered rifle or some shit.
So he turns his head at the last second. The bullet grazed his ear. If he would have just kept his head there, it would have been shot. He'd have been shot in the back of the head, and there's civil war. I mean, that's just what I think. I mean, it would have been all hell broke loose. So my question is, how does this 20-year-old guy with a giant ladder run across the grassy knoll and onto this roof that's 150 yards away, and nobody sees him, allegedly. Nobody sees him. Spectators are screaming, there's a guy on the roof with a gun. There's a guy on the roof with a gun, yelling. Police are like, oh well. Let him stay there in the prone position. But you can't, according to the not Social Security, Secret Service director.
Way to practice that before the podcast.
I did. I kept calling it Social Security because I'm dyslexic and SNS. And apparently, shit, what I was going to say? It was ignored. Secret Service lady was like, well, we didn't have anybody on that roof because it was slanted.
Didn't that give you a better angle?
I don't know. But then the memes were going around and it was like a little tiny ramp leading up to your front door. And it's like, I'm safe now. And so according to, this is what I heard. This is what Joe Rogan says. I was just listening to his clip and I'm going to say what he said. So I'm copying him. He says, this whole thing is nuts. It smells of incompetence, design, or are we in the Matrix? Like, is this some kind of fake movie to watch this, like, man who's like this? I mean, he's a big guy. He's like 6'5" or something. Like
Trump is?
Yes.
Or a 22-year-old
Trump is.
Oh, really?
So that's why we like, you have this big, tall guy who's like he's like a presence. I mean, that's just in general. And then you watch these two bumbling Secret Service agents who look like it's Megan McCarthy or what's her name and Sandra Bullock over here with gun. This lady cannot even put her gun in the holster. She misses it. You got to watch this stuff. So you have these two Secret Service agents. Come to find out
they're fake Secret Service agents or not?
No, they're
qualified?
DEI hires.
What does DEI mean?
Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Because you want to hire the head of the Secret Service is a female. She said her goal is to have 30% or whatever of the agents be female. So basically they're hiring people who aren't qualified, but they're hiring them because of because their race, their color, whatever.
Or gender.
Yes.
Are they white?
Yeah. Yes. These two, there's three women who are white who are like ducking.
So can you get hired because of it's race, color, or gender?
Yes. So
but women do shit better than men all the time.
But if you want to hire China, the wrestler, to be my Secret Service,
Yes.
then I'm fine with it. But you can't
she's
hire
dead, though.
a 5'5" chick to protect a 6'5" guy. Like, how does that work out?
It's
Yeah, so it's like apparently where the roof that the guy was on, that the shooter was on, that building was the staging area for the state police. That was where they were staging that's where they were supposed to be.
But they weren't
And
there?
then they were inside, but then they heard about there was somebody on the roof. So you have an officer who either like climbs up or is like lifted up, and he sees the shooter. The shooter points his rifle at the cop.
Mm-hmm.
Cop doesn't have his weapon and like runs and hides. And then it was like within minutes you see like he shoots at Trump and like fires all up in the crowd.
The cop doesn't have his weapon?
No, he ran away. Like, it's so weird. All these little things coming together, but then they're like, this shooter has no social media. Like, what 20-year-old doesn't have social media?
I did see that they were like being very careful. They weren't like, oh, he was a Democrat and did this. They were like, he was actually a registered Republican, but he didn't make a $15 contribution to something else that was more Democratic.
$15.
Yeah, $15 contribution. People in high school said that both of our people that are running for president are totally ridiculous and that we need to start all over. So maybe his goal was to get rid of one and then go get rid of the other. I don't know. I feel like it looked like it was a kiddie assassination. Like it looked like, what is this? Like it was a joke. And then it turns out it was a fucking kid that did it. Like it looked like it was none of it makes sense. Very generic, it did not seem like real. And then turns out like a kid did it who kind of looked like Eric Harris from the Columbine shooters.
Oh God, he was very...
And I love how they're working with the high school. Like they are working with the high school to figure out what type of kid he was. They're interviewing like old classmates and teachers, and because you will find a lot about a person.
Yes.
On their high school.
So like the school that he was at, they were doing a commercial like with that's where the BlackRock thing came in. And that's what we saw. And they're like an investment. I'm looking it up because like they're a large asset manager, the largest asset manager in the world. They control $8 trillion in assets.
Damn.
And they own like they might fund Pfizer or something like that. Like they're the money and they can make shit happen. And Larry Fink and whoever, I don't know. But it's whatever. It's not good. It's just not good. Okay. And I know things.
Sounds
pretty like I know things. So I don't know if we're in an episode of Black Mirror. I don't know like if this was a setup, if it was a plan, if it was
somebody's plan. We just don't know whose plan it was.
We just don't know whose it was. And whenever I show you the video with Melissa McCarthy not being able to holster her gun and this bitch turning with her ponytail slinging everywhere, you're gonna be like, it's so bad. It's so bad.
Okay.
So there you go.
But we lived through history. Like we heard about JFK. I don't think we were alive then. Somebody else got
Reagan
got shot at.
He got shot at. The bullet ricocheted off the limousine into his armpit, hit his rib and lung. He went immediately to surgery. He was life-threatening because of like internal bleeding. And then he did surgery and then he survived. And then he won the presidency or something like that.
Yes.
I learned all that like in a day. I was like, wait, who's Ronald Reagan?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So
We
there you
lived
go.
through history. So our kids, well, no.
My dogs.
Kids will be reading about this in their history books in another year or two.
Yeah. And they'll be like, what happened to who was the other guy? And I'm like, no, we don't talk about the other guy.
All of this is going to be part of, it's like when we learned about history in history, like in school, we learned like the basics, but like, are they going to get like legit real in the history books at some point and be like, Biden was Weekend at Bernie's, Trump was a raging narcissist. Like, are they going to get that? He was like, this was a corpse. This was a narcissist. Like, this is what we had to do. Are they going to get like that scripted, or are they going to like graze over it?
I don't know. I hope they get that scripted. I want it for both sides.
All right. We got anything else?
That's it.
All right. That's it. We'll see y'all Thursday for a whole new episode. It's a full episode, and we're going to Hong Kong.
Oh, Hong Kong.
Let's say hello, kitty.
Hello, kitty.
All right. Don't forget to
Stay aware.
stay alive.
And always be DTF.
Bye.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production. Are you a podcaster? Let's talk podcast hosting. Are you tired of your current podcast host? Need real support in a community that gets it? At Rogue Media Network, we offer top-tier podcast hosting services to help you thrive. From hosting and distribution to dedicated support, we've got you covered. Starting as low as $25 a month. Join our community of passionate podcasters today. Contact us at hello@roguemedianetwork.com.